Well, hello everybody. This is the Commit and Go podcast where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big ass results in your life and business. Today's topic is this: Stanley, I'd like you to meet Laila and Gloria. So here we go again, folks. Another Stanley Cup story for you, but this one is one that it's just near and dear to my heart. It's just such a heartfelt story that has been like one of these behind the scenes stories that has taken place with the St. Louis Blues on their quest to winning their very first Stanley Cup. First of all, we'll talk about Laila. Laila is an 11-year-old girl who was met about a year ago, if the story is correct here. I might be off by months, but about a year ago, she was met in the hospital. As if you know, many athletes, they do these behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't even know about. And Colton Parenko, one of the St. Louis Blues players, met her at the hospital. And she has this autoimmune disorder, and she has been fighting, and evidently even at this point in life, like as of this recording, she's in remission. She's doing really, really well, and it's just been such a great heartfelt story, because what ended up happening is throughout the course of the playoffs, and especially when we got to the Stanley Cup, they were bringing Laila. The St. Louis Blues brought Laila to the games with her mother, and when Game 7 rolled around, one of the things that happened is that her mom went on Facebook and shared this story where she just said, "Hey, honey, if you could watch the Stanley Cup anywhere, where would you want to go?" And she said, "Well, I'd want to be in Boston." And she looked at her daughter and said, "Well, the St. Louis Blues called, and they want you at the game." And so this little girl is just crying. I'm even watching it in tears, and she's so excited she gets to go be a part of Game 7. Better yet, when they win the Stanley Cup, they bring Laila down to the ice. She has the locker room hat, the locker room t-shirt. Colton Parenko brings the Stanley Cup over to this sweet little girl, holds it up over her head where she is now holding it with him, and she gets to kiss the cup, which is tradition for everyone who wins the Stanley Cup. Just such a beautiful, heartfelt moment. And, you know, it's not just the St. Louis Blues that do stuff like this. Athletes all over, and I've seen it more and more in hockey, which is so cool that they do these things. And there are a lot of really great athletes that do things like this, and you just don't ever hear about them. And this brings up one point of the story. Now I'm going to give you part two. Part two of this story is that when the Blues started coming around, they were still kind of in a little bit of a funk, but there was a dad's trip where literally the coach had the guys invite their fathers to come with on a road trip. And they went to a bar in Philadelphia, and in that bar in Philadelphia, they requested the song Gloria be played. And this is I want to say 1985, I'm not absolutely sure, but it's a 1985 song called Gloria. And they played this song, and they decided at that point moving forward that for every game that they won, they were going to play the song Gloria. Now, there's two just great perspectives that I think we can take away from this. And number one is that we have to realize and remember the human element. Although sports are important and they're fun and they're a great way to unite cities, which is exactly what this has done, there's still something deeper, and that's this thing called relationships and connection to people and how we can make a difference in people's lives, which I think is just so significant here. Yeah, they won the Stanley Cup, but look at the impact they had on this little girl, and look at the impact the little girl had on just so many thousands and thousands and thousands of people, for her courage and for her strength and for her energy and for her love of something. And it was just such a courageous thing to be able to see. So we look at this element of life and just remembering how important it is, how fragile it is, and how important our relationships are. And then number two, we look at the fun factor. I mean, these guys, they weren't really on this end of the season run that they ended up having. They were just getting things going, but yet they found a way to have fun as things started to turn. And as they started to turn, and they went and they tapped into this element of fun of saying, every game that we win, we're going to play the song Gloria. And this thing spread like wildfire, so much so that when my wife and my children and I went on Wednesday night after the Blues won, like literally every parking lot we pulled into, they were playing the song Gloria. And there were people out in the parking lots dancing to this song. And it was just so much fun. Literally, we have a radio station in St. Louis that said if the Blues win, they're going to play Gloria for 24 hours. And I believe at this point of this recording, we're probably about 15 to 18 hours in. Yes, there's way more Gloria to be played. And so, but it's the fun factor, right? So you look at it and say, okay, well, where in my life am I taking things so damn seriously that I'm neglecting my relationships, which are so important? Maybe it's work. You're making work more important. instead of realizing how important your relationships are. And you need to invest in those relationships and not take them for granted, because life is gentle and life is fragile. And so I realized, okay, well, on the one side, I need to put more value on my relationships. And then on the other side, where do I need to loosen up and just have some fun? Just relax and laugh a little and stop taking life so damn seriously. These two elements are coming to you from a freaking Stanley Cup playoff game, from a team that won the cup. Because along the way, although it was business as usual when they got in the ice, they didn't stop having fun. I mean, I even sat here this morning watching videos when they got off the plane at 4:30 in the morning and they had hundreds of fans waiting for them outside a fence. Instead of hopping on a bus, and I overheard a reporter saying this, like, these guys are amazing, because instead of hopping on a bus and just driving through and waving at people, they literally walked down to the end of the parking lot and they celebrated with their fans, having fun. So where in your life you need to loosen up in your relationships and just be more committed to, put the phone down, stop focusing on work, and just be at one with your relationships, because life is so fragile. And number two, where is it that you just need to loosen up, stop taking things so damn seriously, and have a little fun? That's all I've got for you here today. That is compliments of Laila and Gloria. That's all I've got for you here today. I am Dr. Troy Dukowitz. Hey, as always, please head on over to iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and feel free to rate and or review this podcast. And hey, you need something? Comment. You want to share a victory? You want to share a challenge? I'm here for you. Dr. Troy at commitandgo.com, or head on over to commitandgo.com and find out more about myself and what it is that I do to help people in supporting and guiding them and changing their lives to truly have it all. That's all I've got for you here today. This has been the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big ass results in your life and business. We'll hear you next time. Bye-bye.